All right. We good? Fantastic. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here for Panini and MOTOPOL discussion panel 2024. I think we could just start with the basics of who are we and how did we get here. Would maybe MOTOPOL would like to start the conversation on how did MOTOPOL happen and why are we here?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should just try to introduce ourselves in the beginning, or
Sure.
think. So we talked about just to introduce ourselves and how we came into the community. So my name is Jun. I functioned as a chairperson for the board of MOTOPOL during the when we were opened. I've done a lot of these types of things before. I've done Strøm Festival, a thing called Søndagsvenner. I'm also involved in Bispebjerg Records, and I do music myself and DJ as well. But I've always been interested in this DIY culture, I guess, from the beginning of my interest in kind of like hip hop music and house and techno, which is like this sort of DIY culture, which also translates into house parties and stuff like that. So that's my thing.
Yeah. Well, I actually came from a lot of the
Closer.
more closer. Right close. I primarily came from the like hip hop venues and heavy metal venues, and I started to do some doors, like working in doors at different places, and do some security and stuff like that. And then I met some people from MOTOPOL, and they were like, "Yeah, come do it at our place." And I figured I'll go check it out. And I actually never did any door stuff for MOTOPOL, but I got intrigued by the whole like community and the volunteer stuff, because I mean I like volunteers work a lot, and I did do a lot of it. And I was like, yeah, I actually can see how this is a pretty unique thing, and wanted to put some more energy into it, and just fell in love with it. Yeah, I think that's it.
I mean, I have a master degree in modern culture, so for me, culture and community has always been a really big part of what I wanted to do and what I wanted to work with. And then I've been working in kind of like the nightclub scene of it, working with different crews, helping out, setting up. And then I got introduced to MOTOPOL and helped, build a union.
Awesome. And Panini, please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself.
For sure. I'm Francesco. I'm the main radio guy at Radio Panini. So as you can tell, I'm fighting with feedback. That's what I do mostly on a Saturday. I mean, Radio Panini has been. We already had a show where we kind of presented Radio Panini, so I'm gonna kind of keep it short a little bit in this one. But it's been a project that has been in my head for like the good part of the last 10 years. It was supposed to be my retirement project. And the idea was actually to have a place where I could retire from corporate life and have a place where I could have my gang and my people and new people as well to come down and spend time with and while working, you know. Isn't that everybody's dream, I guess? But fast forward, turned up to do it before, the time I was planning to do it. Also because of big inspiration coming from you guys, what you guys did at MOTOPOL was really inspirational to see. Like, I always wonder how could you pull together, have a team of like 100-something volunteers or like fluid, right? But like a lot of people. Your work, Kune work, there is some people from Kune Festival here as well. Also massive shout out. In general, I just think like what we do is really cool and it's really important because it gives meaning to not only to us, it doesn't only fulfill our reason to be here, but also gives sense also to other people. So that's pretty much me and Radio Panini.
Hi, I'm Camilla, and I'm the radio assistant, basically. But I help out in general, sometimes with bar as well. And yeah, I've been helping out since January this year, kind of near the start. And I only really met Francesco properly when I first came to set up one day. And he was like, okay, now you're just here, now you're assisting. And it was great. And I just kind of got stuck in. And I've been here most Saturdays since. And it's just been really nice to be a part of like a project that not only I care about, but seeing like people that I care about it. Yeah. Yeah, that's me.
Hi, my name is Victor. I've been friends with Fra for a couple of years now, and when he said he was going to start a radio, he asked me whether I could help with the website, and then from there out, I started helping with like more of the technical side of things. And yeah, it's been really fun. It's been really interesting to build a website, to figure out all the behind-the-scenes stuff, I guess, all the technical stuff, and that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Awesome, sounds great. So I'm kind of wondering, in volunteer-based communities, it's usually the tendency is to be very flat hierarchy. So there's sometimes maybe also a struggle of good balance between leadership, but also community creation and community-based events. So how do you solve maybe the challenges of organization within volunteer-based communities when there's so many different opinions and yet project needs to go forward?
I think you guys should start with this one. Our answer is pretty short.
You want to start, Mikkel? Okay. So obviously, as a chairperson for almost a year, I've had some thoughts about this. I think it's a matter of trying to make space for all these crazy ideas and let them live, but also as some sort of a project leader or manager, you have to have that kind of oversight and be alert of does this project take too much energy out of the group as a whole, or are we capable enough to do it so that kind of like the organization doesn't break its neck on it. Sometimes you also just have to go with it and just try it out and break your neck or your ankle because that's how you learn stuff. But it's also an assessment of how much can the group as a whole take upon itself. At the same time, feeling the freedom of being creative and have your own personal perspective and what you can give into the project, have that intact. And that's, of course, can be a challenge. Every one of us can have different ideas or perspectives of how stuff is supposed to be done. So I think from like a project manager kind of perspective, it is very important to try to understand. That's what I tried to do, was trying to imagine like how are Danielle feeling today about this, or how is Mikkel feeling about this today. And that only happens when you get to know each other through various processes where you also kind of like you have joyous moments and you have moments where you struggle together, you have moments where you're on your throats together and stuff like that, but it's through a process where you kind of like get to learn each other. So I think that was my answer for that.
Yeah, and maybe I forgot to say, my name is Mikkel, and I handle a lot of the volunteer stuff and construction stuff. And I mean, as June was saying, but I also think there was also like an organic component to it, because we had a lot of, we wanted to empower people like individually. So if people had an idea or a concept, they did have a lot of free room, like they could actually do a lot themselves without asking people permission. Just don't fiddle around with the electronics or anything like that. But so there was also like a social thing where people naturally take charge and take responsibilities, and people just see it, and that also I think had an impact here what you would normally maybe not see in a business per se, where you would have a rank or a job title or anything, something like that. So yeah, so as June was saying, and like a social component as well.
Mm-hmm. Panini, what would you like to add to that?
So yeah, I mean, for us, the process went a little bit differently. Like, obviously, it was something that was coming a little bit more inside out. So it was us pushing something for the community and then asking for involvement. It was less like a grassroots and like from the get-go. But what I think that for us, like if I understood correctly the question, how do we solve the challenges? I think first it's a matter of like leadership. So you need to know what is the availability and what is both the availability and the level of confidence for each person background. So like Camila, for example, she has a background as project manager, and she likes to figure out processes. So that's what she said she'd like to do, and that's what I trusted her with. Then also she helped a lot with the production on the day, and that was very helpful. But she codified all of our like everything that was in my head down in something that is like actually understandable by other people, maybe without ADHD. Same with Victor, like is an engineer, is a software developer as well. Engineer, not developer, but yeah, developer. Sorry. Yeah, know your people. So it's about giving trust to people that both have an availability of time and interest, but also like know their shit. No. Mm-hmm. That we have a lot of people here in the back, and I have no idea. Unfortunately, Simon, that is like the Panini side of things, is not with us for the next couple of weeks. Is on holiday, well deserved. I have no idea. I still wonder why these beautiful people come here and help us every Saturday, making panini and making drinks. But maybe they can come and tell us later. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be lovely if maybe like one of the volunteers would also like to just give us their sort of share of pile of knowledge and opinions. Yeah, just come. Yeah, of course, please. Like what is actually, because that's another very interesting question. What is it that make people want to come around and stick around and contribute their free time and energy to project that? Why is that you keep coming here? If you like to maybe share, like please introduce yourself. Like
come on in the frame.
Hi, I'm Ipshita. I think this is my second time volunteering here, but I do come to Radio Panini a lot. What I do love about this community is just like it's so open and so welcoming, and you can just be here. And especially with like Francesco and Simone, like for volunteering, especially like they've done a great job at it, and you can just come here with your friends, have fun, and that's honestly why I come here. Like. I know a lot of people back there. Some of them are coming later tonight. So it's just like a fun little night out with your friends. And like, it's not just like, oh, you're standing around and having a drink. And it's something more to do with it. And it's a place to be. And just, yeah, there's not a lot. Like, just
would you say that the sort of common goal on during this event, having a common goal as a group, so not only just a pure hangout, but there is a work to be done, however, in a very fun way. Yeah. That would be a factor.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, we come here and we spend so much of our time here, so of course we want to like do a good job at it. And like, I've never worked in a bar before this, and Simone and the others like really helped me through it. They're like, okay, this is how you pour a beer, and this is how you pour wine, and so but they don't make you feel bad about it because it's like no strings attached. So you just come here with your friends. Honestly, that's it for me. Maybe the volunteers in the back can add more, but for me, it's more about the community, the friends, and just a good time.
Yeah. Lovely. Thank you very much.
Of course. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Then you're also volunteer at MOTOPOL. Like, what would be your sort of take on what actually attracted you to volunteer-based community and work to be done here?
I mean, for me, especially having the possibility of taking a lot of responsibility if you really want to, for me, it was also about trying to organize some of the chaos that goes along. Because there's so much, like a lot of people, and then trying to have the good overview of what needs to be done and in what order. So it just gave me a lot of project managing, I guess, tools that I couldn't find in a corporate job because I wasn't equipped to get that job. So it also skilled me, and then it was just fun having the opportunity. Mm.
Great. Would you like to? Yeah.
I mean, I would also think like a part of it is also like the sort of chaos. What you said about you won't find this kind of setting or atmosphere at a normal job. I mean, I have a daytime work as well as a planner, and this is obviously almost the opposite, but it's in a very chaotic setting, and it just gives you another sort of freedom where you can, you are at a place where there's a lot of different kind of people with different kind of skills, and if you have a common project, that makes you need to communicate with these people and somehow find a way to go through with the project. And that is, I think, is also maybe a common thing for all of us doing this thing. That is what is interesting for us, that we kind of like meet a lot of new people and people with different skills that are interesting and so forth. So I think that's a big component of it.
I think it's there are very interesting kind of points of view from within the organizations that we are just talking about, from within being the volunteer. But I'm wondering, what is your view on how actually the participants have like a sense of a different atmosphere, different environment when you go to a commercial club versus when you go to an event that is actually volunteer based and community based. Maybe Mika, would you like to start?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you have something that's not primarily commercially driven, you have a lot of free range, where you don't have to optimize everything in how can we get more money. We just have to make the event, pay the rent in some way, but people are not dependent on it. That means that you can take some like side quests and you can do more different stuff, try stuff out that maybe it's not the most commercial viable thing, but it's the funniest thing to do. So you can try something new and be less dependent on making ends meet. And I think that really gives some opportunities. And also the people you can involve, they can, for example, as June, Danielle, most of us are doing something else and haven't maybe devoted our career to the nightlife, but we still might have some ideas that could be fun to try out. So in this environment, we can actually try stuff instead of just thinking of how can we make people spend more money in the bar all the time.
Yeah, that's I completely agree. Panini, what would you like to? I'm very curious to hear your perspective.
Yeah, Kami has something.
Just a little thing. I didn't even think about it like that as well. Like you just have more freedom and creativity. But I would say just having the volunteers, because they probably feel more like a participant themselves, it just creates less of a distance between who's working there, who's in the crowd, and then I feel like it just becomes more family oriented, and anyone knows that they can go up to a volunteer and just chat to them, and they can become a volunteer in a second if they want to. So it's open, easy going, less judgment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think to add on this, because I guess from your perspective, guys, also you don't have that you don't have to have that level of stress of having to be reliant on a salary, having to come here. I guess if you had to come here every day for 8 hours a day or 5 hours a day, or I think that takes away part of the magic, and I guess that's why maybe the volunteer-based organization are more provide a higher level of service sometimes than profit-driven companies and bars and etc.
Yeah, I totally agree with those sentiments. I mean, for me, what was different about MOTOPOL, I think from the guest side of it, is that when you came to our place, you just felt a part of it. There was no borders or whatever. Or, so yeah, every time we had a party, almost people just came up to us and so thankful because they felt that they were a part of it, not as guests but actually participants in the event, and that means so much for a place like MOTOPOL and for volunteers, is that atmosphere that brings, that you're just not a guest. You are also part of something of the event. And just like huge smiles all over the place, and people are feeling welcomed, and there's a certain openness to, I think, volunteer-based communities that are completely or sometimes very different from commercial clubs, I would say.
Yeah, because that's also another sort of aspect of volunteer-based organizations is where, of course, like all of us made some friends at our workplaces, sometimes better, sometimes less, but I feel like, at least I know for myself, when I joined MOTOPOL community, it really, like within just few weeks, I created these amazing friendships that are still long-lasting, and I think they're gonna be forever, to be honest. So that's a very different approach and very different feeling of joining a place where you feel that you're actually co-creating the space and the community. And I can imagine it's the same for Panini, but like I, for example, don't have that much of an introspective of your organization. So how do you feel that? Like, do you also feel that joining these organizations actually open completely different social aspect into also going out in a more active way, proactive way, rather than just passive participant of a party?
Yeah, I mean, probably this is not a question for me, it's a question more for you guys, but I can say for a fact that, because many people told me that, and that's one of the things that makes me most proud, we definitely did create a lot of connections, we definitely created a lot of friendships, people that went away and they told me like, the only friends that I made in Copenhagen in 2 years, and in 1 year, I met them in like the last 2 months at Radio Panini. This happened a couple of times, and that means a ton to me personally. And there's that, and then from my point of view, obviously I run a radio, and that's what I want to do. And it's also the connections that you create in the music scene. So I like seeing artists that come here and come here often, and like that maybe they had their first residency here, radio residency, and then see them playing in clubs, and like, yeah, new collectives coming up out of something they did here. That's all I can ask for, honestly, in life.
Just to maybe, I think it blurs the line between being just a guest and a participant if you're looking at it, if you're looking at volunteer-based projects like this, where you can, I think even if you don't participate and you don't become a volunteer, just having the possibility of becoming one kind of changes your relationship to the project and makes it, what I think everybody here said already, kind of makes it a little bit more welcoming and gives you the ability to, I think it's just it's I think engaging for people to also have the, maybe to start thinking about whether they actually just want to, or whether they want to do more with this, with music, than just being a punter or whatever. And that's what you can do in a volunteer-based community.
Mikkel, you were usually the first contact and the onboarding person for the volunteers. Have you maybe also saw a progression in connections within MOTOPOL, and how actually it changed the organization, how it transformed, who we are and how we work?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely made the organization more fluid in a way. We would try a lot of different stuff out. As you were in on before, we had multiple times where someone was at one of our events and came up to the bar and was like, this is kind of cool, and I'm really inspired by it. And we were like, I mean, do you want to try? And we'll get them behind the bar, and they'll, during the event, if you weren't too drunk, of course, and then if you can pour up a beer, we'll try it, and beer for an hour or two and hang out. And actually a lot of people joined our community in that way. And then, I mean, you get these people who have so many different ideas, and I mean, we were like a young community, so we took a lot of inspiration from the people that was made by the people there. And when we're talking about what the volunteer stuff and all that, I mean, I've always had the belief that, I mean, no one does anything for free. Here you're not getting money, so what else can you get? And you can get fun experiences that you would never try just by going out. You can get a community a social circle, but you can also like try to hone different skills. You can come in and say, hey, I know a lot about sound and all that, so I'll help out with some of the sound gear, but I kind of want to learn how to do promo stuff, so I'll hang out with the promo people and they'll teach you a little how to do that. So there's a lot of like that personal development that everyone talks about. And I think that's, you don't do anything for free, but it's not money you're getting, it's something else.
Absolutely, totally. Okay, I feel like we've been talking a lot also about all the superlatives and amazing things that come out of volunteer-driven organizations. But let's be honest, it's not easy. It's not easy to organize events when we are all just giving our own free time. And of course, it's all subjected to availability of the people who can get involved. So how do you kind of work with that? That it is only it's only their own free time that they can dedicate. So it's often limited. And there's no consequences also if people need to drop out or something, which is very understandable and so on. So how do you work around the fact that, again, this is not commercial business, people are free to participate or not? What is the project planning and what is your workflow around that? June, maybe.
Well, obviously, as I said, not all the time we had the capacity to run the things how we wanted it. I think a huge aspect of this is also just communication, basically within communities and how to do it. We started out using Discord, then we started using something else, and we had numerous messenger threads, blah blah, and so forth. So I think communication is a big part of it, and also just the fact that if you communicate something, then you can have multiple ways of understanding what was said and what needs to be done, etc. So that can also be a part of what can be very difficult at times for doing this thing. I think it's like an open-ended question. I think it's just like it comes down to the event day, and then you just like haul ass and just give it what you got. I don't know, and sometimes also those kind of sort of challenges can create some new solutions that can be actually more optimal. So it's like, I think it's an iterative process where you both feel you need some sort of capacity and then you don't have it, and then you find different ways of doing things. I think as long as you try to have the project in mind and what you want to do with it, and just have the ability to also downscale a bit from your initial thought about an event or project, then it's doable. Mm-hmm. But it is hard work, and I think and that's why I think it's important that if you join a community, that you don't end up with just having one role. Please try to do different stuff so you can cover each other, right? Like, maybe we need something for the lighting. Then we need somebody else to do the light, mm-hmm. or do the sound, and vice versa. But that's also how we grow as a community, is like when we learn from each other, we can step in for each other and do the stuff we need to do.
Camilla, you're a project manager. What is your take on that?
Let's see if that, can you hear me? Yeah. So more like light project management through running some events, small scale, but again, it's like getting to put it into practice, like we talked about, like honing skills. But for me, I completely agree, like making sure that everyone can kind of cover each other and is open to it. I mean, they don't have to, but just be okay with it. It's also fun, I think, to try different things. Like sometimes it gets boring doing the same job role all the time. So I think it's nice to switch it up, and people can help each other. It also means you talk to different people, you're meeting different volunteers and connecting. At the moment we also just use Discord, and we're using like Google Sheets to kind of assign tasks. But again, our volunteer base is much smaller than how big yours is, so I think it's a bit easier to manage. And maybe Fra also.
No, I think that was a very good point. I think Sorry, this mic seems like it's a bit fucked. But definitely our first, our pool of volunteers, especially in the radio, is a lot smaller than what you guys experienced. The scope of our project is a lot smaller and a lot more defined, so that's that to be taken in consideration. But then I think what I found useful is that you need to have a roadmap. You need to have some ideas of where you want to be and what are the priorities in the mid, short, and mid-term. I'll give you an example. Now we're starting now. We're gonna start actually next Monday. A little spoiler, but we're gonna start having a proper web radio. So not here from Baggen, but you can listen to Radio Panini, only audio on our website.
Ooh, congrats!
And it's gonna be broadcasted from different places. So it's gonna be other people taking care of actually creating the sound for the day or for a few hours, etc. And that was a project that was like there for like the good part of the last 6 months. And what I think we did well there was that there was some competencies in our team to do that. Maybe some of them were a little bit green. Kuba never did something like that. You, I guess, neither, Victor. But we just kept it as an open-ended project. We were like, let's start early. We got time until September, October. That's when we would like to start it. And then things just fall into place and people don't feel stressed. And just my general recommendation would be like, try not to bite more than you can chew. Take it a little bit at a time and try to prioritize what are the important things, right? Obviously, if someone comes to me with an idea saying like, I think we should do this, or I think I would like to do that, I'm not gonna say no, probably. It's just like more about how does that fit in the bigger sense, in the bigger picture, right? There still needs to be some sort of leadership and some sort of like alignment of where are things going and why are they going in that direction. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a different approach from MOTOPOL, where they are trying to be much more flexible on leadership and have a bottom-up approach, which allows freedom and flexibility on development of many different ideas. However, then comes with the challenges of, if there is nobody in charge, then who actually gonna make sure that the things is happening? So I think that's something that it's hard to work with sometimes. Dani, what is your view on that?
I mean, of course, it's always going to be hard if you don't have anyone who's taking the managing role, then, or if you have someone that you're relying on taking a managing role and all of a sudden they are overworked, or I don't know, they have tons of other tasks on their regular job, and then they just disappear, and you as a community is relying on that kind of work power, what do you do then? Like, I would actually go back and say around the time when we're gonna lose the venue, I saw something that I was actually not there. I was in Asia, but I saw a lot of people stepping in, and it was something I was really proud to see that people were stepping in a way that I just haven't seen before. So it's like when stuff was going down, people actually stepped up and took upon more responsibility. But it is hard. I mean, of course it's hard if everyone have an idea of like, oh, we want to do this, and everything has to be gone through, like everyone has an opinion on something, like who is the one to say what's right and what's wrong, right? But so yeah, that was definitely some obstacles. I think a lot of time it also comes down to like how much energy do you want to put into the project. If you have the time and you're really passionate, then basically it becomes more natural to take lead on that project.
All right, we are, I think, slowly running out of time, but there's one last thing I would really like to hear your perspective on, is what, in your opinion, is the importance of this kind of communities, these kind of initiatives, outside of only the volunteer community base, but like on the outside world, like what is actually our role and our, how to put it, our influence on the scene in general as a whole in Copenhagen, for example? Like what are we for Copenhagen scene and for the Copenhagen nightlife? June?
Well, I guess obviously I think the scene and these communities can work sort of like incubators for new talents or people who want to try things out, and give them a space where they can find their way through various different genres that they want to try to do, or technical stuff that they want to try out. That's obviously one thing, and I also think it's a very important thing to have in a city like Copenhagen, because if we don't have that, I mean, obviously all the underground stuff is going to, some of it is going to be assimilated into the more commercial stuff and blah blah, but commercial side of it also needs the underground to be inspired and to move forward with their thing. Secondly, I think communities like us have a social role in that there are people who are not comfortable or find it just like the normal way of socializing with people or doing clubbing or settings. I think there are spaces that are needed for people like us that are a little bit bonkers or a little bit weird or have like maybe strange backgrounds or whatever. What I saw at MOTOPOL, which I think was so beautiful, I saw a lot of foreigners coming into MOTOPOL and started making connections there. And I just have to say it out loud, Danish people are not that good at inviting foreigners into their homes or into their friendship circles. And I think that was a very good place for that sort of stuff to happen as well. So I also think it plays a very huge social role. And it also has this role, in my mind, that we still have this freedom in our society to have communities like that can, despite its challenges, can thrive in a way. That's my perspective on it.
Well, I subscribe entirely to everything you said about the first part, and I think going a little bit more specifically about Radio Panini and our project role in society. So like actually what Radio Panini does. There is two things that I think are also very important. One is for us is to give also a space for foreigners, for expats to hang. I think it was missing in Copenhagen. That's what I hear from people coming here. We have a big expat community, but sometimes, as you said, it's not so easy to break into the music scene. It took me many years. I felt an outsider for many years. I lived here for 8, and so that for me, I think that's important, facilitating a little bit like better integration. And the second part for me is also like breaking down barriers in between like different scenes and different communities. Like, and I think that's also we're doing a good job. We played an important part, giving space to communities that are underrepresented in the club scene. But this is not a club, so we can do whatever we want. And also like bringing more people from scenes that I would not otherwise talk to each other that much. They have a space here where they can meet, and I saw some nice things happening. And some people like, playing in places where that I wouldn't have expected them.
It's a very hot mic. I think Panini specifically gives, like, you meet people that you would otherwise meet in a club context. You meet them during the day when you're maybe sober, ish, and you start talking. It's just a little bit easier building or getting to know people when it's during the day and you can actually see their faces, and and you can okay, and it's just nice to have the option to kind of come here Saturdays during the day and to still get some social energy going, and then maybe if you don't want to go out Saturday night, you still feel like you've met some people and you've maybe fostered the bonds a little bit that you would otherwise, that you normally try and make in the club.
Thanks. All right. So I feel like I've been asking enough questions already, but I'm thinking about our community here, our listeners. If you have any perspectives or questions we'd like to ask, or any sort of comments that you have on top of what's been said so far.
No, actually,
Can I just say one thing quick? Also, this goes also for home. It never works, but we have a chat on our website, or you can write in the comments on YouTube, and we're gonna, someone is gonna check. So if you have any questions from home, just ask. Sorry.
So hi, my name is Kasper, part of MOTOPOL. So this is it's actually a question for Panini, because like I also did community radio before, and like doing MOTOPOL, like starting up something like this, like the start can be pretty rough, and you need to gain like some traction and some following, and you need to get people involved. But for me, it seemed like once the train is running, you almost don't seem to like search for people to get involved. Like they kind of like just come to you. But I don't know what Panini's experience is with this. If like once in the beginning you need to search for people to do shows, and you need to like, you need to build it up. But then once it's started, is it just like coming to you guys by itself, or how has it been?
Yeah, I mean, very simple answer. Yes, you're right. Not on everything, no.
I would say there've been a lot of people that have come and wanted to help out, but then it's not that easy, I think, for you to find the people that actually want to take over responsibility and kind of commit, and maybe like long term actually like say, okay, just want to become like a part of the community in a way where maybe Fra can stop doing a certain task or something like that. That's, I think, been harder for us to find the people that really that like want to take that extra step of commitment just above like the I'm here every once in a while type thing.
Yeah, I think there's also to consider that. So we have Radio Panini functions very much as radio and Panini. Yeah. Radio, also the scope of the project and the help we need is somewhat limited. And now I said help, and I would like to get out of that logic of that me or us needing help. It's more like people wanting to get involved. But I think if someone comes and asks me like, I would like to help, I would like to do something, I think you should do that. For example, from a programming perspective, I think we've been very welcoming, obviously with the limitations that we have in terms of amount of time that we have. We broadcast 8 hours a week. In the future it's going to be more, but it's not going to have the camera thing, which is very appealing to people to be on camera and doing it here from back, and understand that. But there's going to be more opportunities in the future for people to play on Radio Panini, maybe in a different setting. And I agree with you. Like I think it's a different topic for the Panini side. So for the bar, obviously there like we need it's being open 8 hours a day. We do not want to ask people to work 8 hours to be behind the bar 8 hours. So usually the shifts are like 3-4 hours, sometimes even less, 2 hours. So I don't want to speak for Simo, who's not here, but I think for him it's been definitely more difficult. There's a lot more like project management on the volunteer side. While for us, I always try if someone wants to come help on Saturdays in my happy day. Like I'm here all day. I do that. I know how to do it. So if I'm alone, I'm gonna just do it. But if someone is around and they want to come help out, Cam is one of the ones that does it the most, and Vic as well. But there's also Moza, Murad earlier. If someone wants to come down and help, then there's always stuff they can do.
Thank you. We have a question.
Hi, I'm Rebecca from MOTOPOL. So I guess when I started as a volunteer, I was very shy. And I know a lot of people from our community are a bit neurospicy, as we call it. What advice would you give to someone who sort of struggles getting in a new community?
Yeah, I mean, getting in can always be a little rough. Of course, I mean, you can be a little anxious and all that. But if you're a little, what was the word you used? A little shy or neurospicy. It can sometimes be like the getting going that's hard. And then when you feel confident, you can actually like show your personality, and people often tend to like it. I mean, you seem pretty cool, Rebecca. No, but when when you join in, like here, you can get a task to do. So that means you can, you're not forced to, for example, if you went out and clubbing by yourself, alone, without a friend, you're kind of forced to either dance or drink or stand awkward in the corner smoking cigarettes. Here you can come and work in the bar, and then you have something to do, and then conversations and meeting people can happen organically and naturally. And if you don't feel confident because now you feel like I have to talk with someone, otherwise I'm just a weirdo looking in the corner. Now you have a task to do, so you can just do that, and slow and steady is gonna come naturally. And also, I mean, I have definitely felt like it has been a very open community, so people are also quick to, well, there's a new person here, let's go say hi to them. Yeah.
Actually, I think it's also just about showing up. Like, just do it. Just show up. Because the first, like, when you're there, it's gonna be intimidating. But show up, ask questions. What do you need help with? And then take it from there. Like, I don't think it has to be more difficult than that. But showing up, be kind, be open, and just help out, actually. Panini?
I feel like I really connected to you saying the thing about when you don't really know what to do with yourself, just volunteer, and then you always have something to do. And it gives you a break from, like, especially if you don't want to always have to go outside for a cigarette when you want a break. It's nice to just go and check on the stream or, like, have something to do and just make sure there's, like, everyone's okay and helping out. So it's kind of nice. It's like a little reconnect to yourself of, like, okay, what am I doing? I'm not just partying and forgetting about everything. I'm kind of like, I'm here, I'm helping. And you can kind of hyper-focus on a little task for a second and then feel a sense of completion when it's done and, like, feel good, like, okay, I did that. So, yeah.
It's the same for me.
And I also just think it's also just important to try to have fun, right? I mean, people are there also to have fun. And just be open-minded and enjoy the moment, and also just enjoy sometimes that the awkwardness of situations can be quite fun as well. Everybody started out at some point and were nervous or anxious or whatever, but everybody have been through that, so they also understand when you come as a new into the community. They understand where you're at that moment in time, and I think we were good at trying to take care of that as well, like being welcoming to people, so that also helps. But please do have fun when you come into a new community. And just don't be afraid of just being yourself as well. It's also very important.
I very much resonate with this. I think it's also nice to fuck up together, you know, and yeah, it definitely feels less lonely when you're in it together. And yeah, just try things up a little bit, and I hope I don't get too mad when things fuck up. Maybe sometimes.
And just let's a quick little comment to, like, where you were saying, like, just show up and do something. And I think that's so true, because, I mean, we have had a lot of volunteers, so we're actually pretty, I don't know if it's good is the right word, but we tried it a lot of time. So if you just show up and don't be a dick, then we'll find out how to integrate you.
I agree. Fantastic. Anyone else who would like to maybe have a comment or a question on top of that? I actually wanted to hear a perspective, because again, something that I'm really sort of almost proud of, how our communities are growing, also how they help other people grow. So let's say I'm super, how to put it, I'm very proud of being able to witness my friends' growth in their DJ career, let's say have done. That we met at MOTOPOL, and I witnessed you going from our house DJ to now you play everywhere, and I love it. So how was it for you? This how do you feel that MOTOPOL been a contribution somehow to to this different sort of career?
Thank you for mentioning me, Rosie. That's nice. I feel like being a part of MOTOPOL Hello, everybody. So being a part of MOTOPOL was really a nice place for me to be a kind of Actually, I just started with doing the parties and organizing, and I learned about the gear, and I thought I need to learn how to do this and how to work with the gear. And then I started going to MOTOPOL every day, playing 10, 12 hours a day sometimes. And so it was really nice to be able to start with doing bookings and organizing, and then starting to play myself. And this way I met a lot of people who are involved with the nightlife, and then I made a network through that. And
it's also about like I know you also started being more comfortable playing because you could just play with Casper. It was just there before. It was like him being there. All of a sudden, it wasn't that intimidating. Trying out this equipment that wasn't what you had been practicing on at home. And then after that, it kind of kickstarted for you to start doing it by yourself as well, right?
I think that's a really good point, because I was never really a bedroom DJ. I just started jamming at the venue and having people come through. Then I can play like 180 BPM high tech myself. Then I have to play something that also fits with the people's vibe who are working there or whatever. So then I also played some house music, and then it got a bit later, and then I could pump it up a bit. So I learned to play a lot of different stuff and just jam, and that was just so nice way to start out, because now I feel like I can play in a lot of different situations and really sense the crowd. That's kind of how I started, just learn to sense the crowd, because people are working, and come on, man. You can yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for your perspective. I think we're gonna slowly going to wrap it up. Is there any last comment, any last thoughts we'd like to share?
I'm gonna do the how do you say, house honors or. I just wanted to introduce actually what we have up next. I think it's around time. We have 3 more hours of takeover, and I think now enough with the talks. It's also getting quite late, and I think people want to drink some and actually maybe dance a bit. So I wanted to introduce you really quickly to the lineup for the rest of the day, if I find it. So we got Fab the producer coming up next for the next hour. Then we have Analogic, and then Dr. Dexter closing things off. And thanks guys for being here. Very happy. We've been talking about doing it for a long time, and so let's get some music going now.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah, tag. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you for today, and let's keep the party going.